Hello everybody. This video is for teachers who are using the PowerTeacher gradebook. What we have here are two fixes that should resolve problems that you had in entering a final exam grade for your students, which you should be doing soon. And then the most important thing would be calculating the final end of year grade. So the Ed Center made some changes and I'm going to show them to you here. First of all, a disclaimer. What I'm showing to you here, while these are actual Newton South students, these are not actual grades. This is a dummy gradebook set up for the purpose of this video. When you log into PowerTeacher Gradebook, you should see two additions to this drop-down list called Reporting Term. The first one is labeled EOY, and that stands for End of Year. This is where you'll calculate the end of year final grade, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. The other thing that you should be seeing, if you scroll down underneath Term 4, in midterm comments Term 4, is a line item called Final Exam. Now this is where you'll actually enter in your final exam grade, and it's a little bit different from how you've entered in grades before. There are a couple ways to go about doing this, but I'm going to show you what I think is the easiest way. When you click on the drop-down list of reporting term and you select Final Exam like I've done here, if you double-click on the line item, you have the ability to manually override somebody's grade. So for this student, I'm going to click on the checkbox, and there are two boxes. One is for the percentage and one is for the grade item. The letter grade will not recalculate based off of the amount that you put in. It defaults to 0 and F, so you have to change it, of course, or else it'll be calculated as a 0. So I'm going to give this person 100, and of course that is an A. And I'm going to click on Close, and I'm going to click on Save. Now if I scroll back up to the top to EOY, which again stands for End of Year, you'll see that this student, Jamie Barron, has an end of the year final grade of A. If you feel like the changes haven't been made, you can certainly go into Tools and recalculate final scores, and it'll go through and recalculate everything. Just to show you this again, if I were to go through and change this person's grade under Final Exam, double click on this, let's give him a bad grade, 50, and that of course is an F. And I click Close. If I go back to End of Year, I save the changes, you can see that their grade decreased from an A to a B because of that Final Exam grade. Now let's talk about ways that you can manipulate how you actually calculate this final grade that we see calculated here. If you go from the score sheet into grade setup, you will see that your end of year or EOY line item is at the top of the reporting term. Now a lot of you have used the grade setup functionality to set your grades for your 4 terms, but now we're going to do it for calculating the end of year. And what makes the most sense here is to calculate your end of year final grade using term weights so that you're weighing each term a certain percentage amount. Right now the weight for each one of these things is listed as 100, and remember these are just numbers that when compared to each other will generate some sort of percentage. So because all of these numbers are 100, the percentage is equal, 20, 20, 20, 20, and 20 to add up to 100%. If I wanted to make the final exam a little bit less than the 4 terms, what I could do is I could simply change the weight. So I'm going to change the weight to, I'm just going to use a simple number, to 2. All of my terms will be a weight of 2, and my final exam will have a weight of 1. So I'm saying the final exam is worth half as much as the rest of the terms. So you can see here that the percentages change. I have 22.2% for each of the 4 terms, and my final exam is 11.1%. And again, I generated this by just changing the weights in this column here. And you do that by clicking on the box and erasing what's there and changing it to a different amount. So if I go ahead and save this and then go back to the score sheet, and I'm back here in end of year, you can see that Jamie's grade has changed from a B to a B+, and that's because I weighed the final exam a little bit less than what I had shown before. So those are the two major changes. Again, the two things that you're going to need to do to calculate your final grades is, of course, go and enter in a final exam, which is by clicking on the drop-down list, choosing final exam, double-clicking on the line item, doing a manual override, entering in a final exam percent and the appropriate letter grade, and then you will see the changes back up in end of year. And then of course changing the weight of the 4 terms as well as the final exam, as you see here. And so those are the 2 changes that we made to the site. Hopefully that will help out, and you can certainly send me an email if you have any questions. I'd be happy to work with you.